And penultimately, we've got Irwin Tang, who's a writer and activist. He is the principal author of Asian Texans, Our History and Our Lives, and co-author of When Invisible Children Sing. He is currently working on a documentary about the war on hunger. Irwin Tang.
They shortened my introduction there somewhere.
Oh, tell me what else to say.
It was supposed to say something about why the goats are trouncing the sheep in Jesus' war on hunger. You can look that up yourself about the sheep and the goats.
Wow.
I got my book back there, How I Became a Black Man and Other Metamorphoses. It's quite a bit more fun and surreal and just lighthearted than what I'm about to read, which is an excerpt I'm calling Little Sister from a longer work, which I'm tentatively calling Three Women. Just to introduce this piece, just remind ourselves that if our nation is involved in directly or indirectly in so many wars, I think we must think about and imagine war every day. How old are you, little girl? I'm 12 years old. Do you know why you're here? The Japanese are preparing to kill me. Bai Ning shook her head. Should she tell this girl what will soon happen to her? Or is it better for her to believe that she will soon lose her head by sword? She imagined the beheading for a second. No, the girl will live, most likely. And if she does, perhaps she can help us get to the destination. Have you ever seen a naked man before? Asked Bai Ning. Aye, Ming Na groaned. Bai Ning noted the fear in the girl's eyes, and she knew there was a lot of work to do here. They will not kill you today, explained Bai Ning. Get them to kill you, little sister, explained Ming Na. Before you become like us, I beg you. Do not speak to little sister like that, Bai Ning was annoyed only as much as her energy would allow. After they rape you so many times, said Ming Na to the girl, you get somewhat used to it, you become a whore. And then your once desperate need for death is blunted by numbness and the empty stare. Embrace your thirst for suicide when it is at its peak, little sister. Do not become like me. Bai Ning sneered at the peasant girl, Ming Na, always thinking of her individual self, always so selfish. Then the wind made the room creak, and Bai Ning closed her eyes. When would she ever be fully awake again? She opened her eyes, and she understood. Suicide is right. It could align perfectly with the destination. You don't want to become horse like us, Bai Ning said to the girl, who blinked several times. She was confused and less scared than before. Death was certainly more familiar to her than a naked man. She is right. It is better to die early in this room. Bai Ning wondered if she was lying to the girl, and she said to herself, no, this is the truth. It is better to die quickly with one's eyes closed. Better to blind oneself first and then force the hand of the murderers. Especially true for this innocent girl. Do you have adult teeth? Asked Bai Ning. Yes, said the prepubescent girl. I have all my teeth. I have not lost a single one except for this one. She smiled and pointed at an absent molar. Sandra stared at the girl. Why was she smiling? What was Bai Ning saying that made her smile? Is there something besides the resistance fighter to Bai Ning? Sandra felt nothing. She wanted to feel sad for the girl. She searched herself for sadness, and there was no feeling inside her. She would eventually feel sorry for the girl, but only after the girl had been gang raped. Bai Ning asked herself why none of them had already done what she wanted little sister to do. What she wanted the girl to do would surely earn her a quick execution, immediate murder even. Why haven't we done it ourselves? It sounded true what Ming Na had said. They were not ready anymore to die. Selfish. More selfish, perhaps, was their preference that the girl die than to see her gang raped nightly. Have you used your teeth to tear raw meat apart? Asked Bai Ning. Do you know how to clench your teeth, little sister? There was an old man said the girl. The Japanese had dropped a bomb from an airplane. We did not know a bomb could be dropped from an airplane. They turned our building into a pile of rubble. There were dead bodies of people I knew, friends too. My parents survived, but they were bleeding, and my father paid a man to cut off part of his leg. He would have died otherwise. There was an old man. I knew which building he lived in and which room. It was in another building, one that had not been destroyed completely. I had followed him up the stairs one time, and I had asked him for some food. He said no. He said he only had enough money to feed himself. For how long, I wondered. How long did he think that money would last him? And would it last him all the way beyond his death? He could die on any day. And he would have all that excess money. He could never spend it. He could never buy food with that money. He would never enjoy the pleasure of using that money to fill his stomach or to drink some undiluted milk or eat a wheat bun with bits of green onion. He would be dead and sad that he had lost use of his money, like my father lost use of his leg. This old man bought a chicken one day. I saw it from the street corner that I live on during the day. I was amazed that a single man could have an entire chicken in his arms. I knew he lived alone, his family dead or fled already. The man had made it all the way home without anyone stealing his chicken. I followed him into his building.
All right. We're having a tornado.
Staples, TX Amber Alert, LIC, C.
God. Stupid. Never.
I was amazed that a single man could have an entire chicken in his arms. I knew he lived alone, his family dead or fled already. The man had made it all the way home without anyone stealing his chicken. I followed him into his building. Of course, he knew I was following him with the first step I took off the street corner. I followed him up the stairs, and he pretended there was no one behind him. He pretended that there was nothing wrong in this world. I wondered each day why bombs can fall from the sky, but food cannot fall from the sky. The old man watched his own hand putting the key into the keyhole and turning. The chicken was tucked up against his chest. He opened the door, and when the door opened, it was like the darkness from within splashed over me like the dust from an explosion. I rubbed my eyes as I followed him inside and into the dark rooms within. We could not see each other. He had no candles and no electric light. I could hear him put the chicken down on a thin wooden table. I could smell exactly where the freshly killed animal was sleeping in the darkness. I could smell the blood. It was different than people's blood. It was sad. All dead things are sad, are they not? They are not ready to die when they pass from here. I am ready, said Ming Na. I am ready. And the resistance fighter looked over to Ming Na, and she knew that she was really looking at herself. Liar, she said to herself, and the other females there, liar. And they were all one and the same person in that thought, all pretenders and actors for that second. And for that second, something snuck up on the resistance fighter. It was pity, from one and all to one and all. It was the oddest feeling she had ever felt, a universal weeping. She sucked in a quick breath. What is the point of all this, she asked the girl. I grabbed the chicken, and it was still warm. The old man did not move. I could tell he was watching me in the darkness. As I was fumbling with my hands, my mouth open with my mouth water flowing out onto the table like a waterfall. My family and all my ancestors disappeared as if they had never existed. I was born from shrapnel and the greed of men who had never prayed to the dead, men who woke up as men one day and never knew a childhood or a mother's breast. I speak like an old woman because each of my days is the length of a month now, and I bit into that chicken somewhere, and blood squirted out of it, and I drank it in, and I spit out the feathers, and I sucked in the blood as if I were drowning, and it was my first breath of air. And that is when I felt softly descending on my head the cold, hard hand of the old man. I was amazed how steady his fingers were, as I had seen some other old people's hands shaking as they held chopsticks. He was probably too tired to shake. He wanted to feel my head. What do I care? I ripped into the chicken with my teeth. Which part of the body, who knows? I was not aiming or trying, and I was not thinking or crying or wishing or for anything or fearful of this man or any man. And I tore the flesh with my teeth until I reached the bone, and I kept on. The heart and liver were the best things in this world. In that dark, dark room, so cold, there were several stars in a hole in a corner of the ceiling. The girl looked up at the resistance fighter. I believe my bite is strong. Do you have food for me? And the resistance fighter had regained her face. It looked